Well, hello. Again, welcome to the Train Buddy Shop. We're delighted to see you. This is a second part video of putting a decoder in an N-scale engine. I'm going to blow it up here so we can see it. This is an Atlas SD-60, it says, and Susquehanna. We're going to put a decoder in. The customer did not like the decoder that was in it. Says here on the side NCE. He said it was lens. It doesn't really matter. He didn't like it. Adjustment issues, he says. So in any case, we're going to go ahead and replace this with a Digitrax DN163A1, and here we go. And so I'm going to increase the magnification here. Make sure we try to stay in the center there and keep my head out, keep my shirt out. Talked about this last video. We'll mention it again. These are fairly simple engines to get apart, not unlike the HO ones. You just flip it on your finger and typically they come apart. So I've had this one apart once already. And then you can do it on the other side too. That helps. Yeah, it's just a friction fit. We're going to put the body aside. There's a cowling here that protects the light coming out. They want the light to come out the top and don't want it to come out the side windows. So this is a kind of a side skirt, if you will, for the light. This particular vendor actually took and put a piece of shrink tube over the LED, right, again, to try to direct it, although there's not a lot of side light that comes out of an LED, so I'm not quite sure what the purpose of that was. In any case, we're going to remove it. We're going to move the light, and this has been falling off, so I'm just going to take it off here. We've got N-scale engines are split, what we call split frame. In other words, there's two halves, and the two halves pick up electricity from each rail, and then they put it through. If it's just DC, just to the motor leads. If it's DCC like this, we use that as a mechanism to power the decoder or the microprocessor, if you will. We just loosen these two screws, or let them come out if they want to come out, and split the halves. And I usually just use a screwdriver. Before you do that, make sure that you take off the bottom here. This is a retainer, retains those two, but it is the fuel tank. And I want you to see something here. If we can bring it up close here, and so you can see the fuel place where you put the fuel cap, if you will, is right there, right? And right beside it is the meter. It tells you how much fuel is in there, and that typically, not typically, but in the real world, right, goes next to the engineer's side. It goes right there, right? So sometimes what they do is they put it on both of them. In this case, they did not. So this only goes one way, and it goes that direction with the fuel cap and you can see there's even a red something there too. But that's on the engineer side always. Well, in North America. And some models do it right, and some they just don't do it. They don't do it right. Okay, so we got this apart. We're going to take the wheels off as we separate this with the flat screwdriver. I'm just going to put it down in there and just twist just a little bit, just enough to release the wheels. I don't really want to take this engine apart. This is not a fresh decode job. I'm just taking the old one out and putting a new one in. So I don't want to mess with it too much. I got to get the decoder out of the package, and so I haven't really done that yet, so I'm going to pause while I take the decoder out of the package. All right, and we're back, and I always encourage people to read the instructions. This is a limited, it fits Atlas only, SD-60s, 60Ms, SD-50s. So it's, for this one, again, a very simple, a drop-in, but drop-in for just a very specific set. We're not worried too much about the ratings there. We're looking at how it is put into the engine, and so here we see it with the looky feel here. It's got a bunch of tabs on there. Those tabs sometimes are light, extra light outputs, and in this case, yeah, this has 6 light outputs, and so you can tack ditch lights. If you are so inclined, to 2 of those, still leave you 2 more. On an N-scale engine, it's not really, people just don't do that. But you could easily put ditch lights on the front, ditch lights in the back, do a whole bunch of other stuff to this, and get the whiz bang. Notice it has the microprocessor on the bottom. As you look at the picture, it shows all of these other outputs on the top, and the microprocessor is hidden underneath it, and so it goes in this direction, this being the front, this way. Okay, so we're going to again look at how this is set up, and this would be the front. Well, maybe not. So the little shroud, if you remember how this came off, right? So I just placed it there, right? The shroud is over here, and that is the front. So the short piece goes to the front. So I was wrong. This is going front. Front goes this way. This way. Okay. And don't make the mistake. This decoder has the processor on top. This decoder has the processor, and you can see it, and what people will do is they'll match these up. No. This company decided to put the processor on top. This company decided to put the processor on the bottom. So make sure that you get the orientation of it correctly as you put it in. So that's the correct orientation for this guy. All right, so we're going to go ahead and remove this out now. And again, very simply, we're going to spread the frame, spread the frame until this board drops out. All right, come on. And usually it's not this hard. Come on, what's going on here? Oh, ho, 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 ho. All right, we see a little anomaly here. I'll show it to you in just a second. The screw fell out there. Screw fell out, and there we go. All right, now we're going to pull this apart. Take this guy out. Come on out of there. All right, so this is the old one, right? This is the new one. I want you to see something here that's interesting. The interesting thing here to me, right, is if you look really close at this decoder, what you will see is the manufacturer has actually put little clips on it. So I'm going to show you see if I can get the thing to focus here, and we can show the little tiny clip that's on the edge of that board. Notice there's a hole right in the center of that, and I'm going to pull one of those clips off so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so that's just the board, right? And come on off my finger now. What happened to it? Oh, it's so small it's stuck to my thumbnail. Okay, just stuck there. Just come on off. When things get so small, they just stick there. And I kind of roll it around a little bit so you can see it's a U shape. It's a U shape. Let's see if I can get closer. Yeah, there you go. It's a U shape and it's got kind of a flange in it. If you turn it over like that, you can see it. Okay. And so this one is missing because it is still in the engine right there. There it is, right there at the end, right? This one is this side, focus, is there, and then this one is missing, and the same issue happened there. So as I was pulling it out, one comes on the other. We're going to see if we need those. If we do, we're going to put them on the new decoder. Oftentimes that's because this of the pop metal when it's made has these pretty large gashes in them right here, right? And that's where the decoder goes, into that gash. And there's like a little bump down there in the bottom. It's not very big. And the manufacturer's board and then other boards are different thicknesses. And we actually have a micrometer here. We can actually look at that. Kind of interesting. All right. Let's see what the thickness is of this board without the little metal piece. I almost lost one. It came off of my hand, and I almost lost it. Let me make sure the other one's gone. I'm going to put them right up here, so we've got them. Okay. So I've taken them out of this board now. But let's look at the thickness of this board, especially right there. And it says, looks like I'm pushing on it now, pushing hard, 26.5 thousandths. All right, and let's look at this board. This is a Digitrax board. Check and it says it's 24.5. Okay, so right off the bat, we got a 2 thousandths difference between the two. And while you say that may not make much difference, it certainly does in terms of contact here. So we're going to maybe even use these on the newer board. We also have the capability, and I did this on the other one. I have this 5 thousandths, 2 thousandths. Let's see how big this is. This is 1 thousandths. I have a 1 thousandths, 2 thousandths, 3 thousandths, 4 thousandths sheets, solid sheets of brass. And so what I can do is I can use this as a shim. So if these other other shims, connectors, whatever they are, comes off the other board, doesn't work here, then we can use those. All right? So just a sidelight about how all this comes together and why it's just not as easy as some people think. All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and place this board on, and if we have the same issue here that we had on the last one, this board, the two contacts that come from the motor just touch the bottoms of this, and while that's okay, that's not a very good sturdy contact. So what Digitrax and many of the other ones have done is they have created a situation where the points, the contact points are there flat. So if you wanted to, you could just put it on there and not worry about it. I don't. That's not as good of a point of contact. And again, I try to maintain some semblance of professionalism here by doing things that other people either don't do or won't do. And in this case, it's just a matter of pride that my engines, when you get them, they never come back, because they're that good. So I'm trying to keep my hair out of this too. Doing this. They rolled some Kapton tape here. On a lot of their decoders, Kapton tape may be necessary if it's a Kato mechanism. Oftentimes it is. We could actually use this on this locomotive as a safety valve for the motor contacts and how the motor contacts come up and could touch the frame, and if it does, then that's a disaster. You don't, once you have put a decoder in there, you don't ever want the motor contacts or the leads to the motor to ever contact the frame. And many of these N-scale engines, that's a real problem. Now, here's another thing that we have done, and I need to go find something. Let's see. See if I got it back here. Oh yeah, good enough. We need to clean up some of these contacts, especially when you have taken Captain tape off these. And so we've got a couple of contact points here, and I'm just going to clean those up with this is an old worn out Bright Boy, but it does the job. We want to make sure that these are clean. Now, I didn't do this in the last video, so I'm doing it here. I talked about it, I think, a little bit, but I'm going to clean these up with the Bright Boy, and it doesn't take much. And you say, well, I can see that they're brass. Yeah, you can, but what you don't see is the invisible bodies that are on them, microscopic, invisible gunk that sometimes gets on these, like fingerprints, right? So I'm trying very hard not to touch them. And I'm also going to put you can use an alcohol wipe, or you can use a contact cleaner wipe. So this is alcohol for me. And I just keep isopropyl alcohol here and just put a little bit on a cotton swab and then go over those points with the cotton swab, right, like this. The two in the middle here are for the motor, right, so we want to make sure that they're clean too. And on both sides, make sure that they're nice and clean. And again, once you clean them, try to keep your fingers off them, right, like that. You might decide that you wanted to use track and rail cleaner, again from my friends at Harry Caney at what's the name of this? Oh, Aerocar. Or you might want to use some conductive lube cleaner, and that's my preferable because it's conductive. Hello. So we're going to put a couple drops of that on this, and that will be the cat's meow, because not only does it increase the conductivity, which is exactly what we're looking for, but it also does a cleaning job. So we're going to use that in the Q-tip. It doesn't take much, but this chemically makes sure that the contacts are pure and that you don't have to fight with them when you get them in there. Okay? Just like that. All right, now, how was this set up? Well, the little one is forward according to this, and that turns out to be right if you see where the leads are that come up from the motor. So this is where we had our fight last time, and I'm gonna shut the video off so that I can fight with this. The other aspect of this is these little metal clips. So this metal clip stayed in there. I'm going to go ahead and put the other 4 in there. This one stayed in too. I'm going to put the other 2 in there because I want this to have good fitting on it. And while I could put it on the board, well, I might even put it on the board on these other ones. It's going to take a while for me to get everything lined up, get these motor things in the holes, and I have to take my glasses off, believe it or not, so I can see this. You would maybe use a magnifier, and it's just not conducive to videotaping it. But so if you'll excuse me for just a moment, I will do my whiz-bang best to get, I'm telling you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get those things through those holes. So, alrighty then. So I've taken this thing all apart. It's taken me at least a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes to get to this point. But I put it all together and tried tried to program it, it said no ACK. Well, no ACK means that the motor parts didn't touch the decoder. The decoder, I'm going to bring it up here. So these two, and this one specifically, did not come through, right? And so it was not going to program without that. So I've worked now for 45 minutes or so trying to get this up through here, and I've torn it all apart to get there, and I'm just about to finish this up. I've got it coming through. I've got it bent over, as you can see here, so I don't have to do much more. I've got one side in, but while I had it apart and while I had it all disassembled here, I wanted to show you some lubrication points. So we have some special oil. This is motor oil. It's a high grade, very high grade motor bearing oil, and so the motor bearings are right here, right? So I'm going to put a drop there, a drop here, right? Motor bearing, and these are usually sintered brass bearings. In this case, they look like they're plastic. Put a little bit of oil at each end of these, the worm gear and the worm motor. That's about all we use that for. Again, we've got grease in the fittings, and we've got some light grease in there already. The grease that I'm going to put in there will stay. This other grease is gooey. This will kind of soften it up a little bit by putting a dab of the ACT, which is the Aerocar grease in there. And then we're going to go ahead and put this together now. And notice that I put everything on this side. These are springs here, right, that are for the bearings, and it makes it very difficult to try to get it together with the springs and the stuff in the springs. Don't forget the insulators. So you see an insulator here, right? And this that cap. The other thing, where's my other insulator? Oh, here it is. Okay, it's on the bench. I'm getting my hair in it again, aren't I? There's the other insulator. Okay, so we're going to put those two together like this, right? And as we backwards, right, goes this way, holding on to the insulator so that we don't lose them, right? And actually, you could put the insulators in the other side. And now, when you put it together, as we snap this together, we are again making sure that the decoder goes in the places that it's supposed to go. But what usually holds this up, and people don't realize this, and I mean, if you do a lot of these, you see it. But what really holds this up from going in is the motor mount. The motor mount has got little tabs that go through these four holes here. So if they're not lined up and they're not coming through the holes well, it's never going to go in. So you can like use something else to try to force them, but you see I can't even get down in there where that is. So sometimes you have to play with it a little bit, maybe pick it up this way and go top to bottom. But it's usually those tabs, and look, when I did that, it just went in. So watch that you don't lose those insulators between the two halves, because that's very important. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. It looks like I'm in good shape, and I'm just going to put the screws back in.